welcome back to another TCB Team Talk Thursday. I'm your host, Aaron Buzatel, along with my co-host,
Joe Buzatel.
How are you, Joe?
Good. How you doing, Aaron?
Good, good. So today we'd like to start off with reading some stats from the MLS. So I'm going to read right now what's been going on recently. So for the last 24 hours, this is stats from May 1st to May 4th. The last 24 hours, there was 523 listings taken, 136 pending, 66 rental closings, 225 sales closed, 179 price changes, 57 extensions. And currently there is over 19,787 active listings and 9,441 are pending. That is a huge number going on right now in the MLS.
Right, and that's only from the 1st of May to the 4th
to
of
the
May.
4th of May, yeah.
It's a lot of things going on.
That's also in Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk counties. That's all of them together.
So, as promised, we're going to be talking to a home inspector that actually works with us in our office also. We've done a lot of inspections with Tony, and he has his own company. What's the name of the company, Aaron?
Touchstone Realty Inspections.
So Touchstone Realty, he goes all over, wherever you need him. He's done a few for us also.
His name fully is Tony Christoforou.
And that's his
name.
name.
For all of you needing to know his name.
I'm going to be calling Tony right now, and he's going to give us a little bit of idea of what he does and what he can do, and what they actually look for. So we're going to actually call Tony right now.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Tony, how are you? We're on here live. How are you, man?
Good, man. How's it going?
Very good, very good. So, Tony, just tell them a little bit. We want to give the viewers out there a little bit about you and your company and exactly what you do, and giving an idea of exactly what it is that you do on a home inspection.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Joe. So my name is Tony Christoforou. My company is Touchstone Home Inspection. To give you a little background, I've been in the home inspection industry for just going on 17 years now.
Wow.
So, yeah, it sneaks up on you. It gets there pretty quick. I'm sure you know that, Joe. So, you know, a lot of changes. So the last crash of the market, I was in before that. And then now we're dealing with this, situation that hopefully we'll back to some form of normal soon.
Right.
But basically what we do is, in a nutshell, is just provide, the bulk of the work is providing peace of mind and information to home buyers and home sellers.
Gotcha.
So, we want people to get a clear understanding of what the condition of a home is. You might fall in love with the kitchen or bathroom or new tile or the deck in the backyard, but we want to let people know what, if there are any real issues there, what things they might also maybe want to put on a list for maintenance or improvements in the future.
Right.
But also things that primarily could be big issues currently when they're just moving into the home.
Gotcha. So let me ask you a question. So what is the one major thing that you would tell a buyer not to buy the home that you found in the inspection?
Well, I'll be honest, Joe, in my opinion is, I don't really like to tell people whether they should purchase or not purchase.
Okay.
What I try to do is guide them as best I can.
Right.
And make sure they have the info. That being said, the one thing where people, I would emphasize issues would
Right.
be anything related to, let's say, major structural or foundation problems.
Right.
Or possibly related to, water or moisture issues, let's say in a basement or a crawl space.
Gotcha. So
because that could be the really expensive repairs.
Right. So that's very important. That's one of the reasons I think people should do an inspection, because people sometimes think, hey, I don't want to spend an extra $500-600. Why should I do that? And then later on they have a lot of issues. So we always recommend to make sure that they do an inspection and hire someone like you to actually be able to do that. And and I know Tony for a long time, trust him. He knows his stuff, like he just has put the information out there. He's been doing this for over 17 years. So it's good to have someone with experience and someone that's going to be honest with you. And then Tony did an inspection for us, that we spoke to the client at the time, and there was a lot of issues. We went over all the inspection with them, and basically, like Tony said, he doesn't tell them whether to buy it or not, because that's not really his job. It's for him to point out some of the problems that can come up later. So I think what's important is to have somebody that's going to do the job for you, and spend that extra money instead of buying a property that later on you're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars in fixing. So I think it's really important, and the information Tony's given out, it's very important to bring someone that's going to do that for you. So yeah, Aaron.
Hey, Tony, how are you? It's Aaron.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Good, good. Just wanted to ask a question real quick. Now with everything that's going on, I'm assuming you're still busy. How are you handling inspections right now with the whole situation that's happening?
So the way I'm personally handling it, and it's varying kind of statewide and company to company, from home inspectors, from people that I know and speak to. Some guys are still completely shut down, from what I understand.
Wow.
We did shut down briefly for about a week.
Okay.
But then what we did is we got trained up on the COVID-19 and all the safe practices. So we actually got a certification by Internati, which is one of the larger home inspection associations. So they actually came up with a whole training program for us. So with all my safe practices now, we're really only doing vacant properties.
Gotcha.
I see.
With no buyers in attendance, or no buyers walking through the property, or agents walking through with us.
Right.
So, we're trying to follow safe practice. You're wearing a mask, booties, gloves, make sure everything is we're not cross-contaminating from outside to inside and vice versa.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's important now, right?
Right?
Yeah, it's important now, especially. You got to be really careful. That's a great question, because the world has changed right now. We're still in this, still haven't got an okay for the governor to open up the whole of New York State. So I think it's important to be safe, and especially for you guys who, you're going out there. Like with us, we're more stuck at home and kind of like really not being able to do a lot of things, and we can do things virtually, but we can't go out there, we can't meet people, we can't call people. So
Right.
for you to be safe, it's great. That's the way they should do it, with nobody being in the home.
Yeah, so we're doing it that way. And then depending on the client, depending on the home, some clients and buyers choose to show up at the inspection, and we'll do a recap outside the property afterwards.
Gotcha.
The other thing I've been doing with certain clients, especially ones that are more tech savvy, is I'll do a video chat with them from inside the property.
Yeah, that's
So we'll call them up,
fantastic.
let's say, via like Google Duo, which is good on Apple and Android phones.
Right.
So I'll take them through some of the key stuff. I'll show them the electrical panel, the boiler, heating systems, just so they have an idea of what's there, and if there's any major issues, I can show it to them visually.
Gotcha.
Our reports include photos anyway,
Right.
and they're pretty detailed, and concise, but it's still different than being there. So we're making the best of it, giving people the info they can, and like you said, trying to keep everybody safe on all sides of the equation, and having, we have a responsibility, social responsibility, and, in addition to doing business and making money, we want to keep everybody safe.
Absolutely.
While still, getting everyone towards closing, right? So if someone wants to buy, someone wants to sell, the deal wants to get done, so we're trying to facilitate that in the best way that we can.
That's fantastic. Tony, thank you for coming on the call, and can you give out your information for the people that are watching us?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my company is Touchstone Home Inspection. You can reach us at touchstoneinspection.com. My phone number is 718-278-7867. And you can also email us at tsthomeInspection@gmail.com.
Great, Tony. We'll also put this on there also on our page, so that they have your information. And we really appreciate you coming on, Tony. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Tony.
very much, Joe.
Have a
Aaron, take care, guys. Enjoy
Have
the
a
rest
great
of your
day.
Take
You
care.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so that was Tony, like I said, the home inspector. And, one of the most important things, I think, especially if you're a buyer and you're buying, and we're going to talk a little bit about buyers today. I think one of the most important things if you're buying, you want to make sure that the house is in good condition, and the problem is that if you don't do the inspection, you might come up with problems in the home.
Right.
And they do the whole thing. They basically go from beginning to end. They also do termite inspection. they go through the whole house, and even carpenter ants, which usually you find in the garage. So he'll give you all the information. He'll send it to the attorney, and I like what he said. He doesn't give people an opinion if they should or they shouldn't, which is the right way. We don't either. We'll kind of like leave it up to the buyer, but we can kind of like tell them if we feel like it's going to be a lot of problems. Sometimes they love the house so much, and they don't see the underlying problems.
Right.
And then they buy it, and later on we get a call like, "Oh, Joe, I'm having this problem, I'm having that problem." Well, that's what the inspector told you.
Right.
So you have to be really careful out there, and you want to do the right thing in order for you to be able to buy the home and have a safe home, number one. And not only that, but also move in and live there for as long as you want without a problem. So, I spoke about, I believe our second time that we did this, about a thing called home warranty.
Right, yes.
Which is going to start coming out more and more. I think more people are going to start buying it. And the home warranty basically gives you coverage for your boiler, your air conditioning system, your heating system, your roof, your refrigerator, your stove. It covers most of the house. And basically, I don't know what the cost is right now. I will get that information to use. But it's a great, great way to be able to make sure that your house is safe and you're not going to have any issues. So, an inspector's not going to come there and check your stove or your refrigerator. That's not his job. Right. His job is to check the structure of the home and all the other things, your electric panel and all that. But that's another thing that can help you actually to make sure that the house is in good condition. Right. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is talk a little bit about the buying process, right? What you need to do to buy. Like we said, a lot of things are changing. Right now, again, can't take you out to look at a property if you're a buyer, but there are certain things that you need to have, right? What is the one thing, Aaron, that you feel you have to have in order for them to give you a loan?
Well, I definitely need a pre-qualification.
Right.
That's a big one right there. You definitely need that. First of all, to even start the searching process. That a lot of realtors who will take you out before you're even pre-approved. It's not beneficial on both your parts, because by doing that, if you find something you really like, you're going to be heartbroken because you don't have a pre-approval, you don't have a pre-qualification to actually go to the next step.
Exactly, and that's really important to have that. And another thing you really need to have is good credit, right? If you don't have good credit, you're not buying, right?
Credit is key.
Number one thing you need to have. In this country, if you had $1 in the bank, you could buy a property, right? When 2006, 2007 is the way it was. And you didn't need to show anything either. They were doing 80-20 loans. And what was happening a lot, that's when the market got really kind of like problematic, because what happened was they were lending out up to 106%. So you didn't even need to have any money to buy.
Wow.
So when all the problems started in 2008, late 2008 and 9, they realized, hey, we can't do this anymore. And right now, you've got to have at least 20%. There are loans, FHA, that will do 3.5% or 3% loan, which is great because you can still buy a home. So there are people that will loan money out, and FHA is one of the ways to go. The other one is basically a government loan, right, for veterans, and actually you can get that too, and that's no money down at all. So there's still loans out there,
right.
There's still you can buy, and the interest rates have never been better. So you want to make sure that if you're going to buy, you've got to have these things. And one of the things you spoke about, the pre-qualification, you've got to have that, because no one will take you seriously unless you have that. The other important thing, you as an agent, now I'm talking about buyers, but I'm also talking to agents also, you've got to make sure that they have a down payment, right? Even if it's only 3% of the down payment, you've got to make sure that when you're presenting your offer, you want to show the owner that you have some money, that this buyer's got money. So I call it a good faith deposit, which I take on every single loan or every single deal that I take. Any transaction, I'm going to take a check from that buyer made out to the attorney of the seller to make sure that we're serious about buying this property. So these are the things that you need to do. And you need to have all these things, like they say, the ducks lined up the right way, right? In order for you to be able to buy the property. Without that, nobody's going to look at you seriously. So it's so important to have all these things ready to go.
I have a question for the good
Sure.
faith deposit. I've heard a lot of realtors say that, oh, nobody takes that anymore, and a lot of attorneys even say, oh, it's weird, we don't do that anymore. Are attorneys allowed to take that? Let's clarify that, because a lot of people sometimes
Yeah,
they get
depending
that
on the
confused.
attorney. Some attorneys don't like to hold on to it, right? But most attorneys that've been doing this a long time, and that's why we use the attorneys. We use attorneys who have a lot of experience.
Right,
I mean, one of the attorneys we work with has over like almost 30 years of experience. So I believe in having that. The thing is, if you have that check and you show it to the seller, it's more of a chance to getting your offer accepted. Why? Because you're showing them money right away. And I usually tell them, look, take this, forward this to your attorney, that's going to go into escrow. What does it do? It shows how serious the buyer is.
Right.
If the buyer's not serious about buying, and it used to happen when I first started in the business a lot, where they wouldn't give you a check, right? Or the check bounces, right? And it can happen, right? But without that check, it didn't look as serious. I mean, I've got a lot of deals to go through because I had a check. Because the seller said, oh, they're already giving me money.
Right.
Exactly. And what does that do for the buyer? That shows how serious the buyer is. And I explained to that buyer right away, by the way, once you give me this check, if the seller accepts your check, you're stuck in this deal. So before you decide that you want this home, unless you're not 100%, but 110% sure you want this property, do not give me a check. What does that do also? It makes the buyer serious and doesn't waste your time.
Right.
And also waste their time. Why are you going out to look at properties if you're not serious about buying?
Right. Now, here's another thing that a lot of buyers say. This is actually good we're covering this because it clears up a lot of confusion, I feel, with the good faith deposit.
Right.
I've had a lot of buyers tell me, Aaron, now, with that check, is it free money or what does it go towards?
That goes toward down payment.
Okay.
So it's part of their down payment.
Right, and a lot of buyers, they get confused by that. But while you're explaining it to them before you get a chance to explain it, when you bring that check up, I've had a lot of buyers say that. Like,
right.
Well, what does this do? Is it free money to the seller? No, it goes towards your down payment.
Down payment. It goes to the down payment. It's held there in escrow, just like you give the money when you go into contract. You're going to give a percentage that's going to go into escrow too. So that's part of it. So let's say you gave a good faith deposit of $10,000. And your total down payment is going to be 20. So when you go to sign the contract, you don't have to bring 20 with you. You're going to bring the other 10. Now you've got 20 in contract. Okay? So the thing is, when a seller sees money right away, what do you think he's going to think? This person's ready to go. This person is serious. And one of the other things you as agents out there have to do is you've got to make sure that you've got the attorney's name and number, both for the seller and both for the buyer. Okay? Because if you have that when the seller looks at your paperwork, he's going to say, these people are serious, they're ready to go, they have all the information, they even give me money before we even go into contract, and they're ready to go. And you've got to explain that to the buyer. If you back out, you can lose that money.